The triple ticket. Background: is married for nearly 8 years, relationship for 17 years with a small break early on, 2 boys aged 7 and 4, based in the UK. Usual issues in marriage: lack of bonding, emotional interest, poor work-life balance for both, very few opportunities for time alone, and lack of sleep. A few times I've voiced my frustration about the issues, occasionally threatening to leave and building emotional walls. A couple of months ago, X took one of these comments and turned it into a request for space. At this point, I respected that wish and stayed with friends when I could. I gave it a 1% chance of an E or P at that time. Started couples counseling, but could tell she was only there to appear supportive but was cold and unengaged. On returning home, I noticed red flags: spending ages getting ready, new clothes, new underwear, shaving, new hair, long hours at work, etc. A bit of light Facebook snooping revealed her telling the mums from school that I was making her unhappy and she didn't love me anymore, but nothing more. Early December, she planned a weekend to see family. I had my suspicions, so I checked her weekend bag and found dirty underwear and directions to a hotel. As I had the kids to look after, I managed to stop myself following her, but on her return, asked her a few normal questions about the weekend to see if she would own up. Nothing, but I could tell she was lying. So next morning I took her mobile. Felt so guilty, but opening revealed 200 plus texts between her and her boss, older man, director of a large organization who had just given her a new role and pay rise. Lots of flirting, sending descriptions of underwear and saying what a great weekend they had and how they will work through the complexities to be together. Further digging revealed he is also married with teenage kids. Took photos of all the texts. Clearly devastated, I asked who she was with this weekend and if she was having an affair. She denied it, saying it was a friend with similar issues meeting to talk at dinner. I pushed, without revealing I had seen texts, and she eventually said they had kissed, but there was no overlap, as it was after she asked for space. Further snooping showed an E as early as June. I asked her to stop seeing him and to work on our marriage, but she refused and said she planned to move out in the new year, but that he isn't the reason she was leaving. I told her I was divorcing her and filed unreasonable behavior before Xmas, looking to agree 50/50 shared custody of boys and financial settlement through mediation. I have risen to be the better man and have bitten my tongue so many times to ensure the best for my boys. I still believe this is a likely outcome, but I don't believe a word she says anymore, so I'm guarded. However, in lead up to Christmas and New Year, we attempted to keep civil for the boys, but she continues to text, call him, hide phone from me, meeting him for lunch, and was clearly distracted from being a mother, not to mention many serious lax judgment, such as meeting him for a drink during work time, then drink driving, came home stinking of booze, with my eldest son. So, I told her I knew everything, all the texts, and that is her boss, and threatened to call her work to tell them. She pleaded with me, still saying she's done nothing wrong. This is the only emotion I've seen out of her in last month. I've not told her work or his wife yet, but am tempted once financial settlement is sealed by solicitor. She's agreed to move out in Jan, but spent New Year's with him, and it's eating me up inside. I can't bear the thought of them together and what they've done to our family. I know that if he hadn't told her what she wanted to hear, we would have worked through our issues, and that feels so unfair. Do I give up, let her move out, carry on with divorce, or give it one final try? In answer to telling her HR department and boss's wife, we have a financial mediation session this week, where I plan to use her guilt, if any, to offer her a settlement figure that allows me to buy out her equity share of the house. Therefore, as at Grapes suggests, I'm a little nervous to rock the boat in this area until it's been sealed by my solicitor. I feel for the O of the OM, but I'm not convinced I should get involved and make this a four-way. I am kind of hoping when I tell her work, it will get back to her that way instead. I guess I'm still not clear what exposure will achieve. Perhaps make me feel less like an enabler and hopefully stop her bad judgment caused by sneaking and lying. I started the 180 when I had my suspicions, and reading it again, I've done pretty well. A couple of fails on wanting to know her whereabouts and the occasional snide comment, but that's to be expected, I think. I was terribly unhappy. I guess I saw the kids' idea of staying being faithful as what we should do in these circumstances, and that all will get better in time. Clearly it didn't. The kids are, always have been, number one importance, but it's difficult watching her be so normal with them when it's her turn to play mom. I love the setting me free thought, a long way off perhaps, but something to hold on to. What I realized, and gave me some comfort, is that there are loads of so similar stories. I guess it shows we are only human after all. In UK law, nothing she does can really affect the settlement. Very unfair in my opinion, but the best I can hope for is to use her fear or guilt to get the best I can for the boys. I get enough cash to buy out house, they stay here 50% of the time and have a stable few years. Looks as though keeping her out of the house and continuing divorce is current opinion of most. I have IC tomorrow and can't wait to start on my individual recovery. As soon as I have the seal on the financial settlement, I'll be exposing the affair to all parties and will start to tell my side of the story too. There is simply too much to lose to do it right now, but I feel for the OBS. Plus, it might sound familiar to those who have been through this, but all the evidence I've seen and heard It sounds as though they are obsessed with each other and he too will divorce and get together with the mother of my kids. I must also be honest, there is still the tiniest part of me that hopes she will come back pleading for R, but I think that is so I can play along for a day and then tell her where to stick it. The eldest kid is very smart but very emotional. He knows what is coming, and when he and his brother are older, he will know why. Any tips on how to turn the anger, rage, and upset that rears its ugly head into positive thinking? Actions. It's still the part I struggle with, even on good days like today. Update is that after telling her not to stay at the house, tonight she tells me she is staying at a girlfriend's in our town but left with new makeup and outfit on. Facebook Snoop showed she wasn't, and in fact, that friend was telling her to have a great night. I know I shouldn't care and I can't control her actions, but still, here I am, still being lied to, and now her dippy, married friends are fully behind her affair. Are we in a society that just sees these things as the norm these days? My ask here is, how do I communicate my side of the story to her friends and family so that the truth doesn't get rewritten? What forms of communication are best, without making it a public? She said, he said. Financial discussion is tonight. If I don't see signs of me getting what I need for my boy's stability, I think it might well be time to expose. Quick update, too tired. At financial chat tonight, started with a few frank questions, as I heard via friend that the OM separated from his wife last week. So, I need to know if they were moving in together, as this would affect the finances. Apparently not, but as if I believe a word she says anyway. Started with very low ball number that she scoffed at. Got to a number she liked and I told her it was unworkable and I'll have to go all the way to court, and the fact she is with her high-earning boss will be in my favor for spousal maintenance. She is higher earner now, proves sleeping with your boss gets you money. Met halfway, that is 30 to 70 of assets to me, as I will take on family home for boy's stability, but I'm now concerned that our financial mediator, and ultimately the judge who presides over consent order, will see that as unfair. Not really, her screwing her boss while married to me is unfair. I'm glad to be shot of the cheating bee, but the affair and them being together continues to derail my 180 plans. Interestingly enough, I drafted a letter for the company today after I found their policy regarding relationships online. Generally, UK firms are okay with intra-company relationships, but on two grounds: that there is no conflict of interests, and that disclosure is made immediately. My piece of crap wife's situation is in breach of both, so they'd be in the shanty, especially given she has a huge financial promotion last month. However, the financial negotiations are going okay and I am hopeful of getting what me and my sons require. So, I will hold off for now, but it will be used if things don't work out next week. She really annoyed me today. She told our boys about her moving into a rented house next week while I was out. I was clear that any communication with the boys is best done together. Game playing, I'm sure, but another example of her terrible mothering skills lately and doesn't bode well for co-parenting. Frantically working on getting her to agree without looking too pushy. But I do realize I need to use their bubble to at least get a decent deal out of this crappy situation. Quick update and ask for opinion as I head to mediation. To set the scene, I don't want R, I want out. Fast. Divorce petition was actually served to her on weds, and to do that I want to be able to keep home for our boys by settling 50-50 on all assets but 70-30 on house. As I put in 75% of deposit 3 years ago, she pays lump sum child maintenance as higher earner, and I let slide that her pensions are more valuable than mine. Do any of these revelations change the above? 1. She continues to claim no overlap. Her timeline supposedly read, with dates based on my snooping, is April, she starts new job, meets boss for first time. June, gets promoted. The 1st of November, gets very big, temporary but likely to be perm, promotion. The 11th of November, we talked about unhappiness in marriage. The 14th of November, she stayed in hotel with boss for team night out. After that her communication to me were different, fewer texts, no kisses, no intimacy. The 21st of November, asked me for space, which I gave by staying at friends, and at this stage we are an MC, my aim, hope to R. The 9th of December, I was suspicious and found she was staying in hotel with him that evening. The 12th of December, I asked if she is having affair. She denied and said just friend in a similar situation, eventually admits to kissing but no overlap. The 13th of December, I asked for R, she refused, I filed for D. Since then, she continues to text and call, see him at work, obvious, as her boss, and staying in hotels with him. Claims bonding only happened on the 27th of December for first time. For me, you don't just go from unhappy to opening your heart, kissing, cuddling with no previous emotional relationship prior to that. I have no hard evidence prior to the 14th of November but can see from FB history. She was searching for him since June and looking at ways out from September. Point is, if I hadn't snooped around and uncovered the infidelity, I would still be none the wiser, even today. 2. They are staying in the same hotel room. He is helping her move out this weekend. Is buying her gifts for her rental, are planning to stay at each other's rented accommodation. He told wife and kids he was divorcing last week, planning holidays away in June. Yet on her financial disclosure, for me, she answered no to do you plan to cohabit in next 6 months? What is the definition here? They are both big earners, so it surely could impact financial settlement. 3. All of her friends are 100% behind her because the story she tells is she was unhappy. She asked for space, happened to get together with boss, no overlap. Now she is happy. Leaves out the fact that I had to discover the infidelity myself. Aside from the not actual giving examples of her unhappiness until the 21st of November, this history rewrite is so frustrating, but ultimately, does it matter given my aim? 4. Given the advanced stage of her new relationship, my biggest fear in all of this is how soon she introduces him to our boys. I have seen for texts that he is dying for her to meet his kids, teenagers, and given the amount of time they are spending with each other, I know he wants to get involved with our boys. Surely it is reasonable, especially if her timeline is as above, she hardly knows this guy, to ask that he has nothing to do with them for X number of months, until boys are settled. But realistically, how is that possible given they are obsessed with each other? I still just don't get it. Why would someone who is unhappy jump straight into another relationship instead of working on our marriage for us, for the kids? Been racking my brain to think of signs in the past, and the list I can come up with is when no bonding. 3 years ago, she said I was free to get a prostitute. Not only did she miss the point that I wanted to sleep with her, but she probably built up anxiety that she wasn't fulfilling my needs. I called her a good mom but a terrible wife, because she put all kids' needs first. Selfish of me, I can see, but I was low. We disagreed on many things to do with the second child. She wanted to do opposite of what we did with first, who is a well-balanced young boy. As previously mentioned, I threatened to leave and also started to call her names because of these frustration. Petty, yes, but proved unhappiness, I suppose. My feelings today: relief, a hint of peace, and a hint of expectation. Why? Because I came home from a weekend away with my kids and, as agreed, the ex had actually moved all of her things out of the house into her new rental. It felt less sad than I was expecting and actually gave me hope for my future. Plus, she just sent back the divorce acknowledgement papers, so we are well on the way to divorce. Also, mediation on Friday went nearly as well as I could have hoped on the finance front. We arrived at a figure that just about allows me to take on the mortgage and stay in the home with the boys. On paper, it looks as though I am getting a decent deal, but it's all for the stability of the boys. Nothing done here out of spite, so until the mediation paperwork is signed, the consent order is officially drafted and the court stamps it, I will remain guarded, but given we both want out of S&P, I hope this will pass okay in next 6 to 8 weeks. She did make some non-financial demands. 1. Don't tell her work about the fact she is screwing her boss. 2. That she wants us to communicate better. 3. She wants me to meet the OM so we can all move on and be friends. 4. She asked how I knew where she was all the time, if I had put a tracker on her. Told her I actually just found clues, texts, and the rest. The co-parenting plan started okay too. I let the ex take the lead. Still agree in 50-50, and I simple ended by saying, I want to parent the boys exactly as I do now, but without your direct input and support, so I will communicate in appropriate means as and when. However, I did then ask her when she was hoping to introduce the OM to the boys. She started by saying that OM is going to be a big part of her life, expects them to be together, and he has a lot to offer the children. I hated that expression, for some reason, so she wants him to meet them ASAP. I refused on the grounds that the boys need stability in transitioning to our new shared living arrangements, and according to her timeline, her and the other man have only known each other 9 months and been in a relationship since early December, and no one really knows what he is like, especially around someone else's kids. She reluctantly agreed to use divorce date as a target for first meeting, but I expect she will ignore that and have him stay over when they are all there next week. We then had a chat alone afterwards. I've been full 180 aside from odd slip-up, so no comms for ages, so she had a lot she wanted to tell me and I needed a couple of answers for my mind. In a nutshell, she is in the pursuit of happiness above all else, and it just so happened that her boss was there at the time she had a light bulb moment. She started by admitting the marriage wasn't that bad but mentioned a possible MLC again. Almost always comes up when we did talk over past 2 months, and said she turned 40 last year, decided she had reached the limit of what she was prepared to put up with, a need to feel alive and a longing to live her life. She would have felt trapped if I had got ill, made redundant, and she had to look after me, and that we had drifted apart and had different views. Everything felt like an effort. She tried to play the no-overlap game again, at which point I stepped in and made it clear that I had to discover the infidelity. So despite telling me she wanted a break, kissing and cuddling and emotional support for months is still infidelity. She said it's the only part she regrets and can see how hurtful that was for me. I asked her to correct any story she may have told that omits this fact, else it makes me look like I am bitter, twisted, and crazy. That said, she mentioned hadn't felt anywhere near as much emotion, sadness about the breakup as she expected, and is taking that as a sign that it is the right decision. Also mentioned that me filing for D actually made her push on quicker with her new relationship with OM, as it felt natural. Well, I know who he is, what he does, IT director of a large organization, where he and his wife live. Well, not now that he is staying with my ex, all his past jobs and directorships. The other parts are not clear, though he has been staying in hotels for months if not years. During the week and even the texts I've seen between him and ex, he talks about drinking in the bar lots and jokes he is going to pick up a lady, presumably to keep my ex on her toes. So, I expect he is an expert at this. Anyway, I think this is one I'm just going to have to judge from distance, and when the inevitable happens and they meet, from what the kids tell me. Aside from discussions over the kids and wrapping up finances and the D itself, that conversation was actually useful for me. So, although I agree with the 180, there does come a time, often after you have finalized as much as you can read the D, and certainly if you are parents, that I feel you do need to have the cathartic closure discussion. It's done me good. I no longer blame myself but realize I should have got out, asked for MC when the prostitute offer was made all those years ago. It is onwards and upwards. I'll hold my head higher, even when the roller coaster of emotions kicks in again. I did want to tell her my moral stance that she had the right to know, but all my mates told me not to take responsibility for that, and any fallout. And my IC said the same, he needs to tell her. That said, the STBX did admit on Friday that the OM wife doesn't know about her. But what would be the benefit now anyway? Mediation is writing up that divorce date as the target. That said, as I am the petitioner, that date is in my control. STBX could push for final D. From the texts I've seen from him as recently as last week, yes, I know they could be BS. It all seems over on his side too. E.g., other man wife angry that he is moving out and leaving the kids behind, wants financial security, etc. This sounds harsh to the OM wife, but it's not my problem. I need to look after myself now, not get involved in the other marriage that clearly has had major issues as much as mine did. If the OM is doing what my STBX did to me, I really feel for her, and I know I'd want to know if it were reserved. But yes, I am being selfish for the first time in ages, because I've worked so damn hard to get what I need from this Sean T. Storm. Telling would risk it all, given how unstable the STBX is acting at the moment. Is it fair enough to wait until the consent order for boys and finances is sealed, then tell? 6 weeks, probably. So, wait for seal from court on consent order, then tell OM wife, got it. Still not sure how to do it, anonymously is preference, as I don't really want to be supportive. Tongue-in-cheek here, she probably isn't much of a looker if the OM is anything to go by. And no, I don't want to be friends with him, but the connection with my kids, still both very young, is bound to come up sooner than I hope. The problem is my boys are very sociable and will probably connect with him straight away, which will hurt so much. To reaffirm what she said after mediation, she really believes that both of us will be much happier because of this, and she says freed us both. What is still playing on my mind is how I am left dealing with all this crap, while she moves on with her life, getting laid, taken out for meals, going for weekends away, holidays booked with him for the summer already. Resentment, fear, maybe. I am concentrating on myself and my needs, but given I want to get to what she currently has, S.A.P., it's too easy to compare at the moment. I will tell the other man wife once the consent order is final, in about 6 week time. This allows the finances I need to take on the house but leaves me flat broke and owing money to my parents. The boys are 7 and 4 and will be shared 50/50, as written up in mediation agreement. No court order, custody terms here. I hope I do get the success you did in meeting new partners. Clearly just want a bit of fun for now, but in years to come, I hope to find someone else who does deserve to share everything I still have to give. My gut, and texts I've seen, tells me that this will be a long-term relationship. So what benefit will it be for me to blow it up, other than spite and revenge? Well, to stop a cheater bringing up my boys 50% of the time might be another good reason. The OMW will be told in 6 weeks though. And I think this power has got me to a decent financial agreement in principle, shared custody, and currently on track to finalize D less than 6 months after we first discussed unhappiness. Out of all of this, one piece of advice I do feel qualified to give to any others who have been wronged is file for D immediately. Get it done quickly, because either way, D or R, it is the only way to save yourself and start healing. Well, ducks are settling nicely. Just did final handover of kids with her in the house before the co-parenting plan kicks in, and as she left, I asked for her keys back. A small but momentous moment for me, my boys, and I have a safe home from which to heal. I'm not expecting the solicitor's consent order to include the request that the STBXW made. These were more of a list of things that she needed to say, as I'd been in full 180 and not communicated for ages. Likewise, I don't really think my request of not introducing the OM until at least after divorce is legally binding, but it will be signed. So those options are still available, especially if, when, she introduces OM against my wishes. He is actually round her rental building the kids' new bed as we speak. My 7-year-old boy knows part of the story, but a huge thank you for laying out the facts. I oft forget about the OM part in this episode. I think I will draw both boys a picture of stick men to show two families and how things should happen if people are unhappy in relationships, and another picture of what these piece of crap did to us. Her newer friends, moved to town 3 years ago, were always bad choices, but clearly she has been in this mindset a while, so needed them on side for what she was about to do. What is strange is her older friends backing her to the hilt and believing that there was no overlap, so she hasn't cheated. I guess, in hindsight, these friends weren't particularly approving of me in the early days, 15 plus years ago, so it might make sense. Not a day goes by without me thinking about telling the OMW. It would be scenario 2 for sure, and you know what? I don't think the other man or my STBXW give a damn. He'll still be driving around in his Discovery, buying shed loads of gifts for X, for her new house, booking holidays. It isn't all about money, but I can barely afford to take on the house for the boys as it is. But the OMW deserves to know the truth, and I don't want to pause bringing up my kids. Just the thought of him helping set up their new room at the X new house fills me with tears and fears. A few more weeks and it can be done. She's not the same person I met 17 years ago. Our marriage was a sham and is over. I just need to detach, but I'm getting stuck in thinking of her and her BF, especially as I know they see each other every day in and out of work. I'm thinking of sending a quick email to STBXW immediate family and friends, just to counter the rewrite of the marriage history. Nothing too emotional, just the facts, the timeline, and the fact she had an Ia then Pia before I had any idea, and that I had to uncover the affair. Sound fair enough. She has agreed to depetition and return form, agreed finances and co-parenting, but consent order won't be sealed for 6 weeks. Not close to family at all. It is food for thought on when the right time might be. I want to tell the truth to them and the OMW, but that is another action to ponder, to allow me to move on, detach, and to stop thinking, worrying about what she has done, is doing. That is my motive, my healing. A brand new Discovery with personalized number plate has seen a pretty good deal in the UK, and in any case, it is 4 times better than my car. No, he is seen as good because he's played this like a pro, told her everything she needs to hear. He is her soulmate. She feels like she's known him all my life. But yeah, the money for the hotels, nights out, things for the new house, the new underwear, it all helps, I guess. Older boy does know, younger will in years to come. I agree, OMW does deserve a fair divorce, so that is 85% of the reason why I am telling her. 15% is spite and me hoping for a popcorn moment. I have no desire to blow it right up. She needs money to bring up the boys well, so if when I tell the OMW, that means the workplace finds out, then so be it. The truth will out with appropriate proof and context, but it will be done with dignity. I will hold my head higher and rise so much higher, with my balls fully intact, balls deep. Last texts I saw 2 weeks ago seemed to point to a very real separation, with OBS worried about finances, their kids, not happy at him spending money on renting etc. But who knows, then again, not my circus, not my monkeys. I expect OM and OBS will be separated for 2 years, then D after all, if my ex is willing to give up her marriage and family, for a married man with kids, who is her boss, and move in with him. I don't think waiting 2 years for it be official is going to change her current perspective. But I am prepared for the day she does show some remorse, be it 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. Going on a date, with clear view to make new friends, next week, which has done my self-esteem the power of good. Just chatting to a friendly, attractive woman via WhatsApp has taken my mind away from the all women are evil mindset. Don't worry, I know they aren't. But it helped hugely. Well, here is an interesting development, which I called earlier on. I ended up calling STBX mom, who, through the tears, managed to tell me she knew it wasn't my fault at all, it's all her daughter's, and what a great man I am. She mentioned a work friend helping X through this. I told her she is intelligent enough to know what that means. She sighed and agreed. Interestingly enough, the mum had an overlap at end of her marriage, albeit her husband was a compulsive gambler who spent all the savings, so I will give her some slack. Still, history repeating and all that. Then, without prompting, she told me not to worry as that friend is getting a new job, to avoid any issues. I called it, other man is obsessed, he is leaving his top job for her. I guess this actually a good thing. I felt worried for my son's stability if the ex lost her job on top of everything else that is going on. Final thing I called earlier, they will buy a house together in a little village near me in 6 months' time. Wait and see. I'm a little stuck with the need to correct the rewrite of the marriage and to tell people that my ex did cheat on me. But slowly, with support of friends, I'm not sure that it is the correct time to do so. Need to get the D finalized and then see how I feel. In most cases, I don't even want to be friends with the people who the STBX has told lies to. The people who are important to me are the ones who know the truth. In this case, her mum was borderline, so I did tell her and her reaction was positive. For my healing, anyway. Tough day today, with thoughts of should have given her a better shot, which is odd, as I've had a great few days where the future without her seems really bright. My comment, relationships from affairs rarely ever last. The success rate like 10 plus years of marriage is less than 1%. Off the top of my head, out of 3,000 male cheaters, about 1% of them married their affair partner, and if you throw on that the divorce rate is about 50% on the first marriage and about 60+% on the second and throw on cheaters, it's horribly low. So, OP, maybe around that time, when your wife wakes up from her fog, maybe she'll have remorse, but mostly regret. But if that is 6+ months from now or more and you got yourself a hottie that is faithful to you and your children, Your wife will regret even more of her idiotic choices. Second part ending coming later today.